Greetings, my degenerate capitalists. What a pleasure it is to have you here, my dear friends, on another Friday. You're more expert than 99% of the world's population, and I say that without irony. Check it out. In today's video, the agenda is heating up as usual. US GDP grew 3% in the second quarter, and Trump celebrated the return of his economy. Apparently, Jerome Powell's insistence on keeping interest rates at 4.5% wasn't enough to slow down the Republican side. Mercedes implemented the Microsoft Teams app in its cars so you can hold meetings and get fired by HR on the way to work. The prestigious Brown University also jumped on the private credit bandwagon and borrowed $500 million, and the trader who was scammed out of millions by his own chief fund manager. We'll also talk about the mess of U.S. sanctions against Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes and what this means for Brazil's position on the radar of foreign investors, a shooting that shook Wall Street, a communist in the world's most capitalist city, and how billionaires there are picking this fight to prevent it from happening, and of course the blonde bombshell of the moment, Sydney Sweeney, who made American Eagle shares literally soar like an eagle with a jeans ad. Let's go. But first, it's time for our weekly mantra. Because I like you and I want you to be a better person. Patience pays off. In investing, the best returns often come from doing nothing, holding, waiting, enduring the noise. The same goes for careers, relationships, and even personal growth. The problem? Our brains are wired for action. We equate movement with progress. But in a compounding world, most of your returns are recharged. Small choices now, big results later. The trick is to stay in the game long enough for those results to come. Patience isn't passive. It's strategic stillness. It's what keeps you from cashing out at the first red candle, or giving up on something good just because it's not perfect yet. Play long enough, and the odds change. Play with conviction, and the world starts to tilt. Alexandre de Moraes, a Brazilian Supreme Court justice, was placed on the so-called U.S. sanctions list, ordered by the Trump administration, for his collusion with the leftist president who imprisoned former President Bolsonaro, a Trump ally. And contrary to what many believe, this inclusion doesn't disappear when the American president changes. As analyst Raphael Gloves pointed out, this type of measure is approved by the American deep state and tends to be permanent. In practice, this turns Brazil into a kind of no-go zone for some large investment funds. Having a Supreme Court justice sanctioned is a major institutional red flag. It prevents investment theses from advancing through the notorious compliance due diligences. And then, regardless of whether the president is right-wing or left-wing, Brazil is now classified as non-investable by several international players. In the medium term, this could lead to capital flight, pressured exchange rates, and a blackout of external credit. Capital flight is already occurring in the country, and foreign capital will begin to ignore this emerging market giant. But come on, it's been a long week, and the economic climate hasn't stopped just in Brazil. Actress Sydney Sweeney, a Gen Z favorite and star of Euphoria, starred in an explosive campaign for American Eagle and achieved what even McKinsey's strategic consulting firm could. The retailer's shares rose more than 20% in just 1 week. A surreal deal. It resembled the meme coin wave of 2021. The campaign, centered on 2000 style and emotionally charged with sensual, conservative, and nostalgic looks, went viral. The result, growing online sales and record engagement, transforming a fashion campaign into a trend, a meme, and a market movement. A warm welcome to the new Minister of Economy, capable of moving the markets without having to change interest rates. And the icing on the cake? Rumors suggest the actress may be planning to launch her own lingerie line, with backing from major funds, including names like Jeff Bezos. If she's already caused such a stir in the market in jeans, imagine what she'll do in lingerie. This way, there's no other way. The next step is for her to be on the front lines, as President of the Republic. Jokes aside, one thing is certain, this would be American Eagle's ad if the Democrats had won the last election. Speaking of politics, investor Ricky Sandler of Eminence Capital is in war mode. He's pledged $500,000 to block the candidacy of a famous communist named Zoran Mamdani for mayor of New York. But who are these figures? Sandler is a Wall Street shark, owner of one of the most active funds in recent years, and known for getting involved in corporate, and now political fights. On the other side, Zoran Mamdani is a democratic socialist rumored to have anarchist ideals, believing in a communist revolution like the Soviet Union. He was born in Africa and is Muslim, which alone meets the diversity criteria and appeals to white girls with colored hair. The fact is, this guy won the party primaries and leads a young Latino and working-class base. Another one to embrace the tax the rich fiction. I know one thing, I wouldn't want to be friends with a guy like that. The financial elite is in panic. Many wealthy people have already announced they will no longer do business in New York if this guy is elected. For many, he represents a setback for the most capitalist city in the world. Wall Street's most expensive no, the bonus that never came for Robert Gagliardi. Robert Gagliardi joined the hedge fund Evolution Capital in April 2021 and, in 11 months, reportedly generated more than $60 million in profit, about 97% of the firm's revenue during that period. Even so, he was denied a $7.5 million bonus, and founder Michael Lurch reportedly said, "I'm not paying you the bonus. Sue me." Today, Gagliardi is suing Evolution for breach of contract, while the firm is suing him for approximately $7 million previously paid, citing his difficult behavior, short tenure, and alleged connection to a block trading investigation linked to Morgan Stanley. Although he was never charged and claims to have been exonerated by the SEC, Evolution is building its defense on reputational risks and trust issues with a former executive under investigation. The lesson? In theory, you eat what you kill. In practice, your bonus can evaporate under internal political tensions. That's it for today, degenerates. The week was marked by sanctions that frightened the market, billion-dollar companies, and elite universities chasing private credit like failed startups. If you enjoyed it, like, share, and leave a comment. Which of these topics left you most speechless? Tell us in the comments. But if you don't want to share, that's fine too. We'll see you in the next video.